Good morning. I call to order this meeting of the Planning and Zoning Commission, regular meeting, Lake Havasu City Planning and Zoning Commission on 10/18/2023. At this time, please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Ms. Gilbert, can you please call the roll?
Commissioner Matthew Mitchell. Commissioner Susanna Ballard.
Here.
Commissioner Joan DeZuro.
Here.
Commissioner Paul Lair.
Here.
Commissioner Tiffany Wilson.
Here.
Commissioner Lonnie Stevenson.
Here.
Commissioner J.P. Thornton. Commissioner Jim Harris.
Here.
Vice Chair Gabrielle Medley.
Here.
And Chair David Diaz.
Here. Thank you. Staff, do we have any announcements and correspondence?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. We do have some announcements. Let me advance this one slide. I actually put it up here for everybody. Projects that the Planning Commission has been aware of or reviewed recently that has been approved by the City Council. We have the Hilltop Church amended plan was approved, Luxlocker condominium final plat, the multifamily development parking standards that were updated to require more parking. That was approved by council. And also food truck city code amendment. The reason that's in there, that actually was an amendment outside the development code. But the reason I put it in there is there are cross references to CUP requirements for food truck operations, which there's actually a case on the agenda today that involves that. And then just an update for everybody, items to be considered by City Council on October 24th, which is next week on Tuesday. The Deer Run rezone single lot to R1 and Delta Drive and McCulloch rezone C1 to RMPD. And those are upcoming. So that's all I have for announcements. I don't have any other correspondence for the Planning Commission today.
Okay, thank you. Commissioners, we all received the minutes. Are there any deletions, corrections? If not, I'm looking for a motion to approve the minutes from last week or last meeting. Motion by Commissioner Medley. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Second by Commissioner Zuro. Ready to vote?
Motion passes 7-0.
Thank you. Okay, this is a public hearing and there is a structured order to this process. City staff will present each item. There will be time for the commission to ask questions of the staff and the applicant will have an opportunity to present their case to the commission. Once that is done, we will open a public hearing to give community members an opportunity to ask questions or provide input. I ask that anyone that wishes to speak limit their trips to the microphone to one per item and keep their comments to less than 5 minutes. Please stay on point and refrain from discussing subject matter not pertinent to the item being discussed and considered. There will be an opportunity for the public to address the commission about other topics later on in the meeting. After public testimony is taken, I will close the public hearing and bring the item back to the table for city staff's recommendation, further discussion amongst the commissioners, and eventually a motion to approve or disapprove. Thank you for adhering to this meeting protocol. Okay, the first item on today's agenda is item ID 233997, request for a zone change for 1535 El Camino Drive, tract 2194, block 2, lots 4, 5, and 6, from limited commercial C1 to general C2.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The subject property consists of combined lots 4, 5, and 6 in Block 2. Together they measure 0.74 acres and are located on El Camino Drive, just east of Lennon Bridge Road. An alley abuts the rear of the subject property. The property is developed with a church and a parking lot. The western side of the property is undeveloped. The properties are part of Block 2 within Tract 2194, which has parking in common and building areas established per the recorded tract map. The lots are 215 feet deep, with the first 85 feet set aside as the building area and the rear 130 feet as parking in common. This rezone request does not modify these parking and building areas. Any changes to the parking in common area will require a separate application submittal and review through a parking in common amendment. The subject property and the properties to the east in this block are zoned limited commercial and are developed and undeveloped lots. The properties to the south are a mix of C1 and C2 zoning and developed as a hotel, a vacant lot, a restaurant, and an outdoor storage. The property to the west was recently rezoned to general commercial and is developed with a commercial stone and tile sales building with accessory outdoor storage. The properties to the north across the alley are zoned residential manufactured home and developed as such. The applicant's attached letter of intent asks to amend the zoning from limited commercial to general commercial to facilitate the future owner's marine service and repair shop that is allowed in the C2 zoning district. Since 2017, 8 lots in this area have been rezoned from limited commercial to general commercial. The most recent rezone was the lots to the west back in August of 2022. This concludes staff's presentation. The applicant is also present.
Thank you. Is there any questions from the commissioners to the staff on this item? Is the applicant present, would like to make a presentation? Please approach the podium and state your first and last name for the record and spell your last name, please.
My name is John Parrott, Parrott. I live at 2490 Lima Drive. I'm employed by Coldwell Banker Realty in the commercial division, and I'm here today representing the current owner of the property, God's Grace Church of Lake Havasu City. Coldwell Banker also represents a potential buyer for this property. So historically, an awful lot of the zoning in Lake Havasu dates back to the days of McCulloch. And unfortunately, those zoning categories aren't necessarily in sync with today's economy. And the purpose of rezoning a property is to move it into its highest and best use and therefore create economic viability. So all of this part of Tract 2194 falls into that category that I talked about that's not really in sync with today's economy. This location with the proximity to the Windsor launch ramp, the Industrial Boulevard corridor, and the future Second Bridge location make it ideal for general commercial properties. So there are 16 lots in what I call this neighborhood, and some of them were always zoned general commercial. The block 1 was, and I think also the hotel. As the staff pointed out recently, lots 1, 2, and 3 in block 2 have been rezoned to general commercial, as well as the 3 lots that were rezoned for the outside storage. So God's Grace Church is the owner of lots 4, 5, and 6, and they need to sell the property to invest the money in other churches they own in Phoenix and around Arizona. The potential buyers are in the marine service business, and they cannot operate in C1 zoning, hence our application for the rezone. We held a neighborhood meeting. We had 3 people attend. I think we answered most of their questions. They were not questions about the rezone as much as they were questions about the the uses. And the new owner's business operates from 8 in the morning till 4. 95% of their business is inside. The only thing that happens outside is people dropping off a boat engine to be worked on. In addition, just Monday, I received a letter from Brian Castle, who's the owner of Lot 7 in Block 2, and I believe that letter was forwarded to you, where he enthusiastically endorses this. So we're here today to ask for your support in changing the property from limited commercial to general, and I'll answer any questions.
Anyone from the commission want to have any questions of the applicant? Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, this is a public hearing, and this is the opportunity for the public to address this item if they choose to. Anyone in the public want to address this item to the commission? Please come to the podium, state your first and last name, and spell your last name for the record.
Hi, my name's Kelly Lutz, L-U-T-Z. And I have more of a question about the difference between the C1 and I believe C2 zoning. Is this what this was proposal? From my understanding, it has to do with the density of that particular lot. Is that the case? And yeah.
Trevor, you want to answer that?
What was your question?
The difference between C1 and C2 zoning.
So C1 is more of a retail, light commercial zone. General commercial allows for more of a heavier use commercial, as far as boat repairs and things like that, where C1 is more of a retail.
I see. But it doesn't have anything to do with developing and density of the developing.
No.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else like to address the commission on this? Anyone?
I do.
Yes. Mr. Harris.
Mr. Kearns, could you expand further on the differences between C2 and C1 for the record? Some of the permitted uses for C2?
Sure. I have a permitted uses table here if you guys would like to take a look at the board. The red outline is C2. That allows, like I said, more of a heavier use, like recycling facilities, warehouse, wholesale distribution, building material stores, large retail. The C1 zoning allows for just more of a less use permitted in there. Like I said, it doesn't permit the use of auto repair shops or marine service, things like that.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, if I may add to that,
Yes.
the general plan category for this area, a lot of the use, it will allow both C1 and C2 type uses within what the general plan calls for. The specific proposed tenant for that property, the use that they're going to put it to fits perfectly within the resort-related land use category. It's actually listed there in the general plan.
Okay, thank you. Any other from the public want to address the commission on this? Okay, seeing none, I'm going to close the public hearing. I'm going to bring it back to staff for your recommendation.
Based on the findings, the Development Review Committee recommends the Planning Commission forward a recommendation of approval to the City Council for Land Use Action Number 23-3997, a zone change for 1535 El Camino Drive, Track 2194, Block 2, Lots 4, 5, and 6, from limited commercial C1 to general commercial C2 district. This item is scheduled to be heard by the City Council at its November 14th, 2023 meeting.
Thank you. Does the applicant understand the staff's recommendation? Okay, thank you. Any more questions or comments from the commissioners to the staff? on this item? All right, we're looking for a motion.
Mr. Chairman,
Commissioner Ballard?
I make a motion that we approve ID 23-3997, request for a zone change for 1535 El Camino Drive, Tract 2194, Block 2, Lots 4, 5, and 6, from limited commercial C1 to general commercial C2.
I second.
Okay, we have a motion by Commissioner Ballard and a second by Commissioner Zuro. Any further discussion? Okay, we'll ready for vote.
The motion passes 7-0.
Thank you. Good luck. All right, next item is ID number 23-4011. Approval of a conditional use permit for 2894 Jamaica Boulevard and 2895 Chemehueve Boulevard, Tract 2271, Block 13, Parcels 2 and 3, to permit 7 mobile food vendors and a permanent building and a shade structure in the limited commercial C1 district. Mr. Gilbert, your presentation, please.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This property, let me advance the slide here. This property is approximately 1.18 acres in size. It's actually 2 lots, and I'll get to that in a minute. It's a .63 parcel and a .55 parcel combined. It is surrounded on the east of the red area by the Masons Lodge, and on the west is the Texaco station at the northeast corner of Chemehueve Boulevard and Jamaica Boulevard. What they're requesting is a major conditional use permit to operate a 7 food truck with a permanent bar structure in a C1 zone. As you can see on here, that's a very small C1 zone surrounded entirely by R2, R3, and there is some R1, but it's not directly adjacent. It's further away to the southeast. Interestingly enough, I don't have a general plan map in here, and the reason for that is the general plan for this entire area on here is incongruent. It is all low-density residential, is what's shown in that. But as you can see, everything in the area, the R2, the R3, the C1 zoning does not comport with what the general plan has. So let me advance it one more slide here. This is what is proposed on that C1 lot. They're applying for the major conditional use under our current new food truck ordinance. There are various provisions for minor or major CUPs and temporary use permits for different types of food truck operation. What they plan to do here is they're going to put in a new building. They're going to put in all the parking you see, landscaping, dumpster enclosure. The parking's all going to be curb guttered. Outdoor seating area with a canopy, and various other improvements, including a grease interceptor, site lighting, and water, sewer, and fire lights. So this is a major improvement that's being intended for essentially a restaurant type operation, only it's in the form of food trucks instead of a large indoor facility. The structure is going to be approximately 1,100 square feet. The required parking based on our parking, he'll require parking is only 11 spaces, but they're proposing 41. Our ordinance is not set up to contemplate how you calculate parking for food trucks. So in our opinion, when we looked at the number of customers per truck, if they had a full 7, 41 spaces would be far more than adequate to cover all the parking demands for the site. There are a lot of conditions of approval for this, which I'll get to later in the recommendations, and that is a lot of that's based upon neighborhood protection for the multifamily that's to the north, directly abutting to the north. And some of the other ones are just operational for the site. But let's see here. Landscaping will be required along Jamaica. and a bit along Chemehuevi as well. And let's see, there's an easement through the property, as you can see on the site plan, just south of the covered seating area. And that easement is not going to be impacted in any way by the project, so there won't be a need to have it abandoned. And Mr. Chairman, let me give you some background on this. The property owner has stated in a meeting with us that this is a food truck format that is used in Oregon very commonly, very successful according to the applicant, and they are present, will be able to speak about the project. And let's see. There are some other minor conditions that will impose once the design review plans are submitted, if this is approved, but that's just excess detail. All the conditions under the staff analysis we believe are met. This is believed to be a good use for the property. These C1 tracts that are scattered around the city, which is the same situation that the Planning Commission looked at for a related project at its last meeting, have struggled to place sufficient commercial over the years and decades. And this particular one has been lucky that it has a Texaco station and it has the Mason's Lodge next door. So this would complete this one and fully build it out. But a lot of the other ones have not been as successful. But we believe this is a good use for the property. Mr. Chairman, that completes my report. Any questions?
Yeah, I'll start. I have a couple of questions. Can you reiterate what you said earlier at the beginning of your presentation about, you said something about general plan. I couldn't understand what you were saying.
Oh, so the general plan for the entire area you see on the zoning map here, the underlying general plan is low density residential.
Okay. All right. And then for the record, can you clarify what is the new food truck ordinance? You mentioned there was new.
Yes. And that's in the condition of approval, the new food truck ordinance, all the requirements, not only for the project applicant, but for the individual truck owners to meet that ordinance will be required. That has taken effect. We delayed bringing this forward and working with the applicant until the city council had done their full action on that ordinance.
Okay. Any questions from the commissioners?
Mr. Chairman,
Commissioner Lara?
so if this were to be approved, would it come back to the Planning Commission a year from now?
Yes, that is correct.
Okay. And would that become an annual review, or is there at some point where this becomes more of a permanent approval?
The city council in their approval for now wanted to go with a 1-year time frame on all the CUPs. They did leave it open to modify that in the future, but for now they want to see, because it's a new thing, to see how it works by having the 1 year.
Any other questions from the commissioners to the staff? Is the applicant present? Please come to the podium, state your first and last name, and spell your last name for the record, please.
Good morning, everybody.
Morning.
My name is Rob Sampson, Sampson. I've got the clients here as well with me. I work with Selberg Associates. As I always say, it's my great pleasure to be here in front of you today to present this. And we've got an exciting project that we're bringing forward. We've got some youthful and excited individuals who are looking to bring their food truck concept that they have in just outside of Bend into Lake Havasu City. They've run food trucks over 10 years. We have an award-winning chef that's going to champion the first truck and run the bar as well. So what we're looking at in this project has been laid out by Chris very eloquently, but looking to do outdoor seating, create a family environment where, in my family, my wife especially hates cooking for me because I am very basic in cooking, and she likes to be very adventurous. This is the perfect scenario for us. It's like a food court setup where you can get one that you like and I can get one that I like, and then we sit down as a family, we eat together. So that's kind of the concept. It's outdoor seating area. It's indoor seating area. This concept is proven really successful in Bend, Oregon, or outside of Bend. Their weather is not the same as ours by any means, but they have a high season and a low season, much like we do. And they really don't experience a lot of downturn because of the concept they've created. They have people in parkas sitting around, sipping hot chocolate and watching their kids play. So we're excited to bring this forward to you. We think that it's a great use for this piece of property. I think it'll be friendly to the neighbors. And if you have any questions for us, we're here. They're also here as well, and they'd like to just say a few words about their business.
Okay.
All right. First time doing this. Name's Stefan Pena. My wife, Megan Pena. We're from Bend, Oregon. We live in Tumalo, just between Sisters and Bend. There's a few of these concepts that have arisen around the area. We've been a part of a couple of them. We operate a couple of food trucks. Very successful, a lot of great atmosphere, family atmosphere, not open late, not loud, obviously food choices and, some good chefs in there. And, I think, I don't know. I'll let my wife speak a little.
So where we live in Tumalo, it's a small town, and the food truck lot setup that's there has become a real community gathering place. And we have family in Lake Havasu. And what we kind of envision for this lot is to have a nice community gathering place for all of that residential area to come together and be able to, go hang out with their family and have a nice place to go where there's lots of options. I guess that's basically what we are aiming for.
Okay, I have a couple of questions. So is the building, the permanent building, is that just for seating, or is that a commissary kitchen, or what is that?
So in that building, we'll have a bar area with seating inside that can be used for the food trucks or for the bar itself. There's a small commissary kitchen that'll serve all 7 food trucks and some restrooms.
Okay, and are the food trucks going to be rotated out, and are there going to be 7 permanent food trucks?
I believe permanent.
Ideally, yeah.
The same 7 food trucks, they're going to be there. That's going to be their spot.
Yes.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
It just, it seems to be the case with the places we've been involved with, a lot of those trucks get in there, they get their spot. No one wants to leave because it's, better than jockeying around and doing, the regular thing you see on TV with food trucks kind of going around and driving and parking. This, people get to know where you're at and they can come and find you. I've done that before back in 2014 and it's not very successful. We switched to doing catering and doing weddings. And then when we moved to Bend, these started, our good friend started one of these, which we're still a part of. It's called The Bite. And it was kind of the catalyst for all the other ones. And, there's a few in town. They're very nice. It's not just like a parking lot with trucks. They're like fully built in, nice, area. And it's just, holiday time, you got a large venue for people to come and have some food real quick and then leave. It's just, and then parking is always a big thing. So that was kind of our thing. We really wanted to make sure you could get in, otherwise no one's going to show up. So that was kind of something we've been looking for, and we finally found that lot, or both of those. And so, yeah.
Okay. And then my last question, then I'll turn it over to the commissioners. I've heard that the possibility down the road of some outdoor entertainment you guys are planning.
No.
Is that just a rumor, or is that something that you're thinking about?
No, we might have music indoors, like a small acoustic set or something like that, but no outdoor entertainment.
Okay. All right. Thank you. Any commissioners have any questions? Commissioner DeZero?
What do you envision the hours of operation being once it's up and running?
11 and 9.
11 and 9. 11 in the morning to 9 p.m. at night. Sorry.
Thank you.
11 to 9.
11 a.m., 9 p.m.
Yes.
Okay. Any other questions from commissioners? Mr. Gilbert?
Mr. Chairman, to expand on the outdoor entertainment thing, that's one of the conditions of approval is in the C1 zone. That is not a permitted use, and that is a condition of approval that I'll get to later with the recommendation.
Okay. Any questions, comments? All right. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. This is a public hearing. We're going to have, if anyone from the public wants to address the commission on this item, we do have a couple of people that have pre-signed up. Also, there's someone that's by Zoom, you said,
Yes, I haven't heard from her yet. I know she is watching, but if you just want to check in, I'll see if she has any comments before we close the public hearing.
Okay. So at this time, if anyone from the public wants to come up, we do have a couple. I'll call them first, but it's a public hearing. You have 5 minutes, up to 5 minutes. Please state your first and last name for the record. Stay on topic. And the first person is David Weisgott? Okay. Can you please come up to the podium, state your first and last name, and spell your last name for the record, please?
Good morning. My name is Dave Wigand, W-E-I-G-A-N-D. I'm here to talk to you today in opposition of the permit being issued, and let me tell you why. First of all, in the city report, they didn't tell you that there's quite a large apartment complex right next to the facility. And although they're saying they're going to be operating from 11 to 9, I can guarantee you people are not going to shut the doors and leave and be quiet at 9 o'clock. We're concerned that the children are going to be bothered. Their sleeping patterns are going to be issued. It's also going to affect their schooling. We're very concerned about that. Other than that, I've spoken to the folks over at St. Michael's United Methodist Church, which is directly across the street from the proposed buildings. They're in opposition of it simply because they're concerned about people running back and forth and the dangers of somebody getting hit. Thirdly, I'm a Freemason. We are in the building directly behind it. We're opposed to it simply because we're concerned about our facility being trashed, trash being, our parking lot being used. We just do not feel that this is an appropriate use for this facility or for this land. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Dave Zeev? Zier. Okay, Dave Zier.
Hi, my name's Dave Zier, Z-I-E-R. I live at 2900 Saddleback Drive. I bought my property a year ago, and I don't think I would have bought it knowing that there would be a bar area, 100 yards away. I'm concerned with traffic. I'm concerned with, parking. They're probably going to park in the church at times, I would guess, if there's an overflow. I'm opposed to it, and I just wanted to leave you with that. So, and it is all residential right there and apartments. So, thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else from the public like to address the commission on this item? Please state your name, first and last, and spell your last name for the record, please.
My name's Tom Goodfellow, Goodfellow. I appreciate entrepreneurism and the creativity. However, I would be opposed to this. And the reason I'm opposed to it, which has not even been mentioned in this room yet, is the existing existing restaurants and the business that may be taken away from them, who are paying probably, well, I would be guessing on this, but probably a lot more expenses when it comes to just the upfront costs of running a restaurant. I owned a restaurant for 8 years and also owned a lodging business for 23 years. And to me, this is a little bit of a circumvent of that. And with I'm very passionate with business owners, and to me, this is circumventing a lot. This is a guess because I don't have numbers in front of me. Circumventing a lot of expenses that other restaurants endure. So it's not a level playing field. I support level playing field. And I'm going to give you another example because I was in the lodging business, and this is getting a little off track, but it's kind of the same thing. VRBOs. The same thing where you allow an entity to come in who doesn't pay the same amount of expenses, disrupts the community, and is, I still think is wrong. And I think this is kind of in that same line. And I know there's probably a lot of people here that were for VRBOs. I can tell you, I had a lodging business for 20-some years, and my lodging business was going like this. VRBO came along, and it went back like this after working many years to improve my business to create more revenue. What about the restaurants in this town who have the same idea of which takes years to improve your restaurant, make changes, remodel, all of those expenses to increase your revenue, and then you have somebody that just comes in and wham bam, they got it. They already have a business. And food trucks. Last time I knew, a truck has 4 wheels and is mobile. Now, I don't know what you're going to do. You have to change it. I don't think you can call it a mobile business. It's not mobile. So I guess that's all I got to say. I think you get the general drift of what I'm saying. I'm just really opposed to this for the sake of the business owners that you currently have. And are you going to protect the current business owners? Or how do you feel about that? So thank you very much.
Thank you. Anyone else from the public want to address the commission? Please state your name again and spell your last name for the record.
Hello, it's Kelly Lutz again, L-U-T-Z. And I guess I'm opposed to it. To echo some of Tom's comments, it's a food truck. It's not a permanent fixture restaurant. It's a food truck. It's meant to go places, service that area, and then leave. I'm opposed to all the food truck lots. I didn't like what they did over on Swanson, but it's in a different area, and they got that approved. I certainly don't like the use of it in this area. And it seems that someone says that we have to fill up and use all the lots in Havasu. We don't, they're for future use, for that zone purpose. We don't have to rezone something just to use it up. But the biggest thing that I say is that it's a food truck. It's not meant to be a permanent situation. And it seems that they develop it with a building in order to satisfy rules about food situations. And obviously it's going to turn into a alcohol serving situation too. And the building is insufficient. It's not meant for food trucks. Let's let food trucks be mobile. That's what they are. They're food trucks. And I hope that the food trucks are great, and I hope that they work well for you, and I hope your business prospers. But I don't want it in a lot competing with brick and mortar restaurants that have paid their insurance and paid all the other things that they have that you don't. So thank you for that.
And just for clarification, it's not asking for a rezone. It's a approval of a conditional use permit. It's zone limited commercial Z1.
Just as well.
Mm-hmm. Anyone else from the public wish to address the commission on this? Yes, sir. Please go to the podium and state your first and last name. Spell your last name for the record, please.
My name is Bob Bowman, B-O-W-M-A-N. I live on Jamaica Boulevard, right near this location where it's going to be. And I support the idea. You know, Havasu, downtown restaurants are often crowded. Parking is kind of a mess. Where I live, I think it'd be great to have an option that has some different menu items that I could walk to. I don't worry about an alcohol permit that's going to close at 9 o'clock. It's supposed to be beer, I think. But what's been said about the food trucks not paying their share, I don't think that's accurate. The property owner is going to have to pay a mortgage just like Chagru's would. The food trucks are going to have to pay rent for their space just like anybody else. The costs are still there. If they have to have permits from the health department, it's the same permit that Chagru's or anybody else has to have. They have to go through all those same things. I think it'd be good for the neighborhood. I think the hours are reasonable. Apparently, there's plenty of parking available. We can't prevent people from doing stupid things like crossing the street in front of traffic. I don't see a downside to this, especially if you're going to review it in another year and see how it goes. These people need a chance, I think. If they've done this before and they're willing to put in the time, money, and effort to get this going, I think we should give them a chance. That's it.
Thank you, sir. Anyone else from the public like to address? It's a race.
Hello, my name is Brian Osgood, O-S-G-O-O-D. I live at 2963 Gypsy Drive, which is behind the proposed thing. I'm not in favor of this at all. We got, right now with Neighbors Market there, with the chicken that they have going on there, they're a restaurant themselves inside there. We get enough trash, enough smells, everything there is in our little neighborhood as it is right now. With the food trucks, I believe we're going to see more trash. Right now, I'm constantly picking up trash once a week around my house because of the market. With the food truck, it's going to be way worse. And as for the people getting it, good luck.
Sir, you need to address us.
Oh,
Address
okay.
us, yeah.
Okay. With them, I don't know if they thought about this all the way through either, because they said, oh, it's going to be 11 o'clock in the morning. If we're in Lake Havasu for at least 4 or 5 months a year, they need to be open at 6 in the morning if they're going to do that, because that's where the money's at with the businesses and workers in town. So I don't think it's not a good idea. They need to rethink about it a little bit more. If they're going to come in Lake Havasu, it is a different weather than Oregon. Anyway, that's it. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. State your name for the record and spell your last name, please.
My name is Maud Wallen, W-A-L-L-E-N. I don't have much to say, but I'm very, very upset. I live right in the corner behind this lot. So my life is going to be hell. I have been there for 33 years, and this is going to be hell for me. I have heard enough. That's all I have to say. If they have a house for me to move to, fine, and my husband.
Thank you. Anybody else like to address the commission? State your name for the record, please, and spell your last name.
Race Myers, M-E-Y-E-R-S. I first have a question for the developer. Are the food trucks going to have dedicated electricity to the trucks, or are they going to have to use their generators?
We'll have to, if the applicant wants to come back up to the podium and answer those questions. Please, so because we're being recorded.
All the electrical will be dedicated.
Thank you. Also, in regards to, they're talking about trash, if I'm assuming where is the trash, enclosed trash bin going to be on the diagram?
Mr. Gilbert?
Mr. Chairman, for now, on this site plan is shown here, but there's going to be a condition of approval, which I'll get to later, with recommendation where we're going to request to be moved here to allow this connection that's already there to Texaco to remain.
And what is on the right side, the outline with a little white box with writing in it?
This right here?
Uh-huh.
That's for delivery trucks. When they have a delivery of like product that comes in to service the trucks, they'll back it in there. That's just a striped off area
Okay.
for no parking.
I'm in the condo complex just to the north of this property that lines up right along that whole strip. We have our pool right in the middle of our complex. It appears by the map that their building is going to be on the backside, which is our garages, but the food trucks in the delivery area is going to be right in front of our pool. So our concern is not so much the conditional use, but the placement of the food trucks in regards and the visits part in regards to right out front of our pool for our quiet enjoyment of our home. We're requesting that you look at it from the standpoint of moving all the food trucks against the Mason parking lot area because that's a parking lot. So there's no people that are going to be sitting outside or viewing there. Also, as Maud said, she's our neighbor behind us. They look right over that area towards the lake. So the permanent building is going to be right in their view path of that. So we're not so much opposed to it. We're just opposed to the way they have it laid out, that they're putting all the business stuff and all the noise from the food trucks and all the commotion right up against our pool where we're out, enjoying in the afternoon, which is when they're open. Obviously, in the summertime, it's more in the morning and evenings, but at the same time, we're concerned about that. Our other concern is their rodent pest control. We have vacant land behind us, which is part of Maud's property, and we do have a lot of rodents and bunnies and quail, even coyotes that go through there that use that as a track path behind our neighborhood. So we're concerned in regards to what food trash is going to bring to our neighborhood in that way. So I heard the staff mention that there was a mitigation to the condos, but you didn't mention what that mitigation process was for us.
That's actually going to be, most of that's going to be addressed during the design review if the conditional use is approved. However, it's important to point out that there's a 20-foot buffer between at the edge of any activity and the property line. And then from the property line to your pool, there's another approximately 20 feet. So all the activities are going to be at least 40 feet away. We're going to address the lighting. That's a conditional approval that the lighting be shielded and the poles set in a way that does not interrupt your way of life over there as little as possible impact. So those are the things we're going to be looking at.
Okay. So again, I would reiterate, we would like to have the position of things flip-flopped so that not everything is right up against our condos. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Any other public want to address the commission? Thank you. Come up to the podium and state your name for the record and spell your last name, please.
Hello, my name is Andrew Regan, R-E-G-A-N. I'm the owner of the Modern Book Texaco right there on the corner of Jim and Waving Jamaica. And I think this is a great option. I actually originally came from Oregon, from Portland area, and know how these things operate. I've actually been to the place in Tumalo where you guys have been both before and after, knowing that this was their plan. And that property is immaculate, very well kept. Like they said, a great community area. I also live in the neighborhood off Thunderbolt, so walking distance from that area. And I think, like someone else said, my wife and I eat two completely different diets. So to be able to have a place like that where you can come, each one gets to pick their own food and then eat together. If there's an area for kids to run around, that's great too. I mean, it's a great family area. I do see the concerns from mostly the apartment complex right there, or condo complex, whatever the term is, in terms of their privacy or noise concerns and things like that. So potential readjustment might be, advantageous for them particularly. But in terms of competition, I mean, I own the chicken restaurant in there as well. I think that competition is good for business. I don't think the idea of saying, oh, because someone has cheaper costs, it's going to take away their business. I mean, this is America where competition creates capitalism, and that's a good form for everyone here. It's going to have brick and mortar restaurants reevaluate their menus, see if they have better options, more grab and go options. It's going to, give people more options within the community. Without there being public transportation in the area, everyone from the south side of town has a long way to go to get to anywhere for food or anything like that. And we see that in our store where a lot of people will walk in and get groceries, our eggs, our cheese, our breads, because they don't have the ability to, get to Main Street, to get to Bash's', things like that. So to be able to have people, like another gentleman said, be able to walk to it, I think it's a great option, especially in the off seasons of summer where the weather is more appropriate for those types of things. All in all, I think it's great. I think it'd be great for the neighborhood. I do think there may be some things that could be, readjusted to make neighbors more pleasant, but in my mind, it's great for the area. I actually wanted to do it in that same lot, but just didn't have the opportunity before these guys came in. So I hope you guys, good luck.
Thank you. Please state your name for the record and spell your last name, please.
Good morning, Bambi. Osgood, Osgood. I hate speaking in public. I am absolutely opposed to this. This is a residential neighborhood. It's not a restaurant area. It's not a bar area. I do not want a bar in my backyard. We have people, ever since the market's gone up, that cut through our backyard. We had to put a fence up because we have rock wall, and they've destroyed it so many times we had to put the fence up. They still cut through the backyard, come along the side yard, and go in between me and another neighbor. It's still trespassing on my property. No matter what we've done, I've asked people not to, and they still do it. Kids, you guys talk about this being a family thing. I didn't take my kids to a bar when they were little. I don't even take them to a bar now. This is a neighborhood. It's not a bar. This type of business, in my opinion, it belongs out at the mall, not in a residential neighborhood. I've made several notes here, so excuse me. And I hate talking in public. Did y'all know that?
You're doing fine.
The trash, more rodents, more coyotes. As it is now, I have coyote scat in my yard that I get to go pick up because they go and they get in the trash that's supposed to be enclosed at neighbors. It's not. I get chicken bones in my fountain that I have to dig out because the birds come and they get the chicken, they dip it in the water to soften all the meat off of it, they eat it, they leave the bones. Parking spaces. What's the building occupancy that is proposed with that building for, what was it, 1,200 square foot?
The
Was
building
it-
occupancy will be determined when when construction drawings are submitted. The parking requirements from the development code are for 11 spaces.
I thought they said 41 parking spaces.
That's how many are provided. 11 are required for that building.
Okay, so with having 41 parking spaces, with that building occupancy limit, to me, you're going to have a lot of people that are outside and loitering. The other thing too, you guys talk about the hours of operation. The school, when it gets out, where are all these kids going to go? They're going to go over there. Guess what? Not a good idea. It's going to, too much noise. Also too, you guys talk about it being a family thing again. I haven't heard anything about a playground. Well, if you put a playground in, once again, more noise for the neighbors to have to contend with. More kids hanging around. This is a quiet neighborhood. It used to be really, really nice. And what's the guarantee that there's not going to be outdoor music? They talk about the trucks, that they're going to stay there. Are they going to be leasing the areas for the trucks so that the trucks aren't coming and going all the time? And nobody's talked about, you say there's a new ordinance for the food trucks. Can I get a show of hands of how many people know what that new ordinance is? Anybody? One person, two people are familiar with the
Well, I
new,
know
three
what it is.
people?
Yeah.
4?
Yeah.
Okay, well, you guys on the committee, but the general audience, general public are not aware of what that new ordinance is, and I think that's important that we be advised of that. Let me see any other notes I got here. Oh yeah, this isn't Oregon, this is Lake Havasu City. We are different here. The site plan, I really didn't feel it was too clarified in my opinion, and I think too, you're going to be putting some of the neighbors against other neighbors because I think no matter where they put this building, it's going to back up either to the Masonic Temple, our neighbor, or the condos. Again, air pollution, we get to smell the greasy fried chicken grease daily. The noise pollution, and then also too, the rest of this lot, if it's not paved, that's going to be dirt. Guess what? More dust in the area, more pollution. Oh yeah, the trash, absolutely, it's going to bring more rodents, more coyotes, and more large birds. Do you guys get chicken bones in your pool, by the way?
Ma'am, you have to address us, ma'am. Ma'am, you have to address the
Okay, the condo association also gets chicken bones in their pool. So as far as the trash being enclosed, sorry guys, the city falls short on a lot of the things that they're supposed to be following up on. The VRBOs, trash cans in the street for a week. parking in the street with the boats that the people come into these
We have to stay
VRBOs.
on, we have to stay on
I
this
know.
item. Yeah.
This is just, I am staying on subject with it because I'm saying ordinances are not followed in this town. The city doesn't follow up on it. You call and complain and it gets ignored. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, ma'am. Anyone else from the public like to address the commission? No, just one time only. Yeah, yeah.
Mr. Chairman, if I may, there's been a lot of comment on the city council passed ordinance for food trucks that is available online, City Code Chapter 5.24 for the public's knowledge.
Thank you. Yes, sir.
Okay. Larry Rosser, ROSSER. I'm a member of the Masonic Lodge. And looking at his whole plan here, first of all, the gentleman that owns Texaco has never come to us and talked about what he had planned. That's number one. A little bit of relations would be nice. The other thing, the flow of traffic there. Jamaica's pretty doggone busy, and you hit that corner there at Texaco coming up. People pull out and they don't stop. You have people crossing the street to go to this venue. You have the same problem down McCulloch, though. You got people that dart across the street. It's 25 miles an hour. Jamaica's 35. You're going to have problems. The whole design and concept of it, well, let me back up to something. The Texaco limits 10 students allowed in the store at once. Is this going to allow just 10 students on their facility? Nobody's addressed how many students they'll be coming there. My experience is I've got 30 years as a licensed contractor. I do work at major hospitals, military bases, and even with them, this would never fly, this whole operation. It's horrible, the design. And then once you have this floating out there, do you think you're only going to be limited to 7 trucks? No. You're going to have trucks parked on the street there, filling that up. Then you got the additional crowd that's going to be crossing there. I don't know. I'm totally against it. I think it ought to be scratched from the get-go and sent to the garbage.
Thank you, sir. Anyone else from the public like to address the commission?
Commissioner? Yep, we do have someone here who would like to comment remotely. She wasn't able to attend.
Okay. Donna, go ahead.
Hi, thank you so much for the opportunity. My name is Kristen Burnside, FEARNSIDE, and I do have a duplex on Chemehuevi, and it is residential area, and I am opposed to this due to the noise levels, bar, and the increased traffic. I don't think that's going to be real positive for residents. Thank you.
She done?
I think so.
Okay, thank you, Donna. Okay, would the applicant like to address any of the concerns from the public do you have any, you want to say anything about what was said?
I mean, I guess I understand a lot of these people's concerns. Any of the food truck lots that we've been a part of up there, they pretty much don't attract young kids. I mean, a lot of young kids aren't traveling around with a lot of money. There's one right by the hospital that when it's called On Tap, you know, there's a high school, a middle school, there's a bunch of schools around there that kids walk through there. You know, they're not really attracted to the food trucks as much. We never really got any traffic from any children. I can't really recall any of our sales really. It's just usually people coming through for lunch. It's moderately quiet. I mean, it's pretty peaceful. You know, the grounds are maintained every day. Everything's picked up and cleaned. You know, I think a lot of what it looks like is that, yeah, it's going to be a circus. It's not really a circus. I guess that's why you'd have to go and be a part of one or see one and, you know, to understand how it operates. You know, ours in Tumalo, it's a small city or small township outside of Bend, like I said, surrounded by residential homes right up onto the property line. Same zoning as this. And there was the exact same pushback. but now everyone loves it, and it became such a popular thing for, you know, everyone to go to that there's like 7 of them now, but they're all very well done. You know, as far as costs go, you know, I was going to open a restaurant. This is going to cost me more than opening a restaurant. I mean, this is actually going to have way more cost. Fees, licensing, insurance, riders for the trucks. I mean, there's a lot more that's involved that people don't know. It's not just a food truck driving down the road. Even those food trucks on their own have plenty of costs for, you know, $400. I don't know what the fee is for their commissary that they have to report to prepare their food. There's quite a bit. Is there less for a single standalone food truck versus a restaurant? Yeah, I'd say so, but there's also a lot of hardships. You got to get rid of your gray water. This would allow semi-permanent trucks, so they're not coming in and out. We're going to have full hookups, so there's going to be no odor. They're going to have onboard. They're going to have water. They're going to have their sewer. You know, if there's any riffraff, we'll kick it out. You know, it's not really that. There's no sound almost that comes out of these. It's very, you know, as much sound as you're going to see at a grocery store parking lot. That's what we're used to seeing, and I've been to every single one of them in Bend, Redmond, and just in our local Central Oregon area. And they're all uniquely different, but they're all uniquely the same, where they're peaceful, quiet entities. You know, there's a couple that were zoned and made with an amphitheater, and they have loud music, but that's not what we're going for. You know, we're trying to bring something that's awesome to the area, not something that's going to be, you know, people driving by and giving us the finger. We're not trying to do that. We're trying to cozy in and make everyone welcome. I understand the concerns, though, and I think those, you know, are valid concerns. So however we can help to mitigate that, or whatever we have to do, we'd be willing to do that. So it's not like we're going to move in and just be like, sorry, guys, this is what's happening. That's not our intention. That wouldn't work anyways, and that's not who we are. So
Okay, thank you.
Hi, Rob Sampson again. Just to build on Stefan's point, there's been a lot of concern about the bar. I think everyone sees this as a sports bar or a nightclub. This is really just a place it's a beer and wine license that they're applying for, that they have. It's more to, you know, complement. You got your meal and you want to have a beer with it or a glass of wine. That's the kind of clientele they're looking for. He's already, you know, mentioned that they'll have on-site security if there's any issue that comes up. Things that it always sounds bad when we bring up what could actually be built there. They may potentially rely on staff to further the discussion, but this property will be built on at some point. I mean, this is the second time that I personally been in front of you guys on the same property. We had a third one that never went anywhere because the homeowners were so adamant they didn't want anything to go. A 25-foot building can be built in this zone right against that easement line that you see there by right, as long as it meets the C1 zoning. It is an approved use. If it's my neighborhood, I would want something similar to this than to lose my whole view by rooftop units and you know, different details that would be on the building to augment the front of the building and a blank wall, because that's really what will end up there, because everyone's going to want to face the view. So those are things to keep in mind as you guys are making your decisions. Property owner rights are a big deal. And you know, this is a very low use for this property compared to what it could be. So just food for thought.
Thank you. All right. Anyone else from the public want to address the commission? All right, seeing none, I'm going to close the public comment section and bring it back to staff's recommendation. Mr. Gilbert, your recommendation, please.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'll just leave it here for this. Staff recommends approval of Land Use Action 2340-11 for a conditional use permit for 2894 Jamaica Boulevard and 2895 Chemehuevi Boulevard, Tract 2271, Block 13, Parcels 2 and 3, to permit 7 mobile food vendors, a permanent building, and the shade structure in the limited commercial C1 district, with the following conditions, and I'm going to enumerate all 11 of the conditions. The final plan submitted for design review shall substantially match the concept site plan submitted with this application. The driveway constructed with this site shall connect with the existing cross-access driveways into the adjacent Texaco station, requiring relocation of the proposed dumpster location. Number 2, no outdoor entertainment is permitted in the C1 Limited Commercial District. Number 3, no mobile food units shall be placed on the property until a certificate of occupancy is issued for the bar restroom building. Number 4, the property is limited to 7 mobile food units located as shown on the site plan. Number 5, provide Public Works requested traffic analysis of site with design review documents. And let me make a couple comments on that. The Public Works Department is not concerned about the amount of traffic being a problem. What they want the analysis for is to help them with their determinations on what to do with the Jamaica-Chemehuevi intersection. And that's why they're asking for that. They've already been looking at that for some time. Let's see. Number 6, the mobile food vendors shall individually meet all appropriate city, county, and state requirements, including business licensing, fire, and health department regulations contained in City Code Chapter 5.24 regarding mobile food vendors. Number 7, a minimum of 1 30-gallon trash receptacle shall be provided within 15 feet of each individual mobile food unit. Number 8, all lighting shall be designed and shielded in compliance with Lake Havasu City Code Section 1404.05 with detailed lighting specifications provided with the design review submittal. Number 9, the development shall comply with the noise regulations described in Lake Havasu City Chapter 9.30. Number 10, the conditional use permit shall be reevaluated by the Planning Commission 1 year after issuance of a certificate of occupancy for the bar restroom building to gauge the impact of the use on the neighborhood and determine if any of the conditions need modification to assure minimum impact to the neighborhood. Number 11, combine parcels 2 and 3 into one parcel prior to issuance of a certificate of occupancy for the principal structure. Mr. Chairman, that completes my recommendation, but I do have one final comment. The project does comply with the City Council's new food truck ordinance. And since a lot of the members of the public that were here apparently were not aware that the council addressed that in the last few months, there were hours and hours of testimony taken at public hearings by the council and before they adopted the ordinance that is now reflected as City Code Chapter 5.24. So it's important to point that out, that a lot of testimony was taken. And this project does comply. That completes my recommendation.
Okay, thank you. Any discussion from the commissioners regarding this item? Commissioner Medley?
I just have one question, and it's regard to the brick and mortar that's going to be there, because it seems like it's going to be very limited use. If in 1 year it doesn't take off or it's pulled, the conditional use permit is pulled, what happens to a structure like that?
Well, the bar wine thing is a permitted use in that zone by itself. And so if that particular activity ceases, that's not really a problem. It could become indoor seating. What that building also provides is a prep area for the trucks and bathrooms, which are required to provide the services by the 5.24, the city code, to the food truck operations. So they can't just close the building.
Mr. Chairman.
Commissioner Harris.
I am on the opposite side of a lot of the comments made here today. I think this is a viable use for this particular location. And having said that, I'd like to move that we approve ID 234011 with staff's recommendations.
Yes, we just have some further comment.
Sorry.
Commissioner Zero?
I agree with Jim. I think that I was looking at this. I want to take into
I'm so
account.
sorry to interrupt. Since there's a motion on the floor, it has to be either seconded or it's
And then we'll have further
it's
discussion.
a die. You can have further discussion and comments after that.
Okay.
Okay.
Or if nobody wants a second, then that's fine. It'll die now. But we just, for the record, let's kind of clarify
Okay.
what is happening.
Thank you. Do we have a second?
Okay, I'll second.
Okay, so we have a motion by Mr. Harris to approve with a second by Commissioner DeZero. Any further discussion?
Yes. Now I'll do it.
Commissioner DeZero.
Thank you. Listening to it, I understand, as was mentioned, I think this is good. Lake Havasu is a great place for people to come together. Every place I go, everyone, literally everyone is friendly. They want to be together. They say hi. Everybody knows everybody in this town. I think this will be a great community place to gather in the community. And I hope the people in the apartments want to come over, the people from the Masonic Lodge getting something before they go to their meetings. It looks like it's a place where you can grab something quick and go on about your business, or stay and visit with the friends in the community. We want to look at it for a year. If it doesn't work, it can go away and not be renewed for a year to see if which side of this is actually coming true. But I think it's a place there. They did have one of the things with the vendors and the restaurants. They did have public hearings, several, and had vendors and restaurant owners there. What happens right now is most of these vending trucks park on McCullough right by the restaurants. So they're actually, you could take a choice. I can go to the right and do a vendor truck, or I can go to the left and go into the restaurant. This will put them in a particular area where we know vending trucks are, a community where people can walk over and grab something if they want, sit and visit with friends. So I agree. I think it looks like something that could be very positive for that area, positive for the neighborhood. Again, if the trash is kept up, and we will see, if it gets approved in a year, if there's any of these issues, renewal just wouldn't occur at that point. And we can see, and if the neighborhood people like it as much as we think it might work on that. Thank you.
Commissioner Wilson?
The concept is not the issue for me. The issue I do have, though, is that it is meant to be a mobile vehicle. It is not meant to be stationary. And that is my issue with the project. We had another project like this come before us, and it was my same. I mentioned then that this opens up a whole can of worms to have these type of lots throughout the city and have this type of project set up. This conditional use on this zoning is no different than somebody coming asking for a conditional use of putting an RV on a single family lot and calling it a temporary home. They're on wheels, they're meant to move, and that's my opinion.
Any other comments from the commissioners? Again, just to clarify for the public, any recommendation that we make today is just a recommendation. The city council makes the final ruling. Okay, so we have a motion from Mr. Harris, Commissioner Harris, to approve, with a second from Ms. DeZero to approve.
And before you vote, we do need to clarify the statement you just made. In this case, this conditional use permit, the final decision rests with the commission.
Oh, okay, I'm sorry. You're correct. You're correct. For this one, does not go to the city council.
Yep, it's a little different than the other. I know what you're getting.
No, I know,
with,
you're
but
right.
yeah.
You're correct. This is correct. All right, so once again, we have a motion to approve by Commissioner Harris and a second by Commissioner DeZero, and we are ready for vote.
Motion passes 4-3.
Okay. The next item, good luck to you. Good luck to you. The next item is ID number 234001, a request for a preliminary subdivision plat approval for Window Rock Estates, Tract 2397 for 4017, 4021, 4025, and 4029 Window Rock Road E. APN numbers 110-05-025-023-027 and -003, creating 147 lots on approximately 80 acres in the single-family residential R1, residential estates RE, and residential agriculture RA districts. Mr. Gilbert, your presentation, please.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This particular project has been brewing for, I'd say, at least a year now. It's been the council twice to get the zoning established, and then they came back later to amend the Hillside RA area. And now they're coming forward with the preliminary plat based upon those. So we advance slide here. The general location of the property is east of McCulloch on the north side of Horizon 6, which is all county. As you can see on the map, the dashed blue line is the city limit, so it kind of extends out to encompass this area. Window Rock Road is at the south end. That is the only access point to get to the property from at least from this location right here. And I forget the name of the street, I apologize. McCulloch's here, so there's a short segment that gets to this intersection. Then from that point to Window Rock is just a single access. But when the property to the west, which is planning at some point to develop as well, that will interconnect with other access points. The traffic study was provided with, they submitted initially in 2022, and the traffic study was requested. That was submitted, and that traffic study had very minor recommendations because the total number of lots with what's existing along Window Rock is less than 200 units. So it's a very minor impact, but I'll get to that in a minute. Let me advance the slide. This is the zoning map for the property showing the current zoning after the two actions with council. It's kind of hard to see the shades, but you have the RE zone is right here. It's just kind of a faded orange. So I'm trying to outline it so you can see it better. And everything down the west side and almost the entire south half is R1, same as the adjoining property. The RA is the northeast portion. And let me go back a slide. That is right here, which encompasses the pretty steep hillside areas, which are mostly undevelopable. Again, here's a more detailed breakdown of the zoning boundaries. It's kind of tilted 90 degrees to the right, so it fit on the screen. But there's RA, RE, and R1. And the breakout is 105 lots zoned R1 on about 40 acres and 40 larger residential lots zoned RE on about 20 acres. And then there are additional 7 parcels identified as A through G on the plat that are intended for public drainage utility purposes, with parcel G, and that's almost the entirety of this area here, constituting the bulk of the remaining undevelopable ground in the subdivision. Proposes all public streets. Let me advance to the plat right here. It might be kind of hard to see, but it's just a preliminary plat. There's not a lot of detailed engineering yet because that is required with the final plat. But they've gone through multiple hearings on this, and what you see is the result of the adjustment of the zoning to accommodate the lot layout that you have. I do have a number of conditions of approval with this, and there were comments from other reviewers. All that will be addressed in the final plat process. There's water pressure out here, pressure zone 4. They're going to have to run all utility services, and all the engineering for that will be submitted with prior to the final plat approval by City Council. At this point, we're basically looking to determine if the preliminary plat is sufficient to move forward to final plat status. Other than that, I don't have any other comments other than we believe that this is a feasible subdivision from the way it's laid out. Mr. Chairman, do you have any comments? Questions?
I have a question.
Thank you very much, Commissioner Harris.
On this plat, are these streets planned to be private streets or city-owned streets?
They will be public streets.
Okay, thank you.
And Public Works will also require the north side, working with the county, but we believe that the city boundary runs down the middle of the road. So the majority of improvements appear in the right-of-way will appear to be on our side. Curb gutter sidewalk with, and I'll get to the traffic study's main recommendations were left turn lanes into the subdivision eastbound. And that was marginal, but Public Works supports it, as does planning.
Thank you.
Any other comments from commissioners? All right, seeing none, is anyone from is the applicant present? Please state your name for the record and spell your last name.
Hi, this is Terry Brierton, Brierton. I'm from Blue Water Development, and I pretty much, Mr. Gilbert pretty much touched all the bases, but I'm here to answer any questions. We have our engineer, Matt Hall, here. He can basically answer any question you need.
Any questions from commissioners to the applicant? All right, seeing none, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. This is a public hearing. I'm going to open the public comment. Anyone from the public want to address the commission on this item? Yes, please go to the podium and state your name and spell your last name for the record, please.
Karen Johnson, Johnsson. I live on Window Rock, right across from the proposed site. The traffic on I don't know, my question is, when was the traffic study done and for how long? Because the only thing I seen on Window Rock was, yes, the traffic study for 2 days. Now, it's been my understanding that a traffic study is done for at least a week. That was not up there for a week. And it was a Sunday and a Monday. It was up on Sunday, gone on Monday. That's not enough. That's not a traffic study. This morning, the traffic was bad. Constant, because of the workers, the big trucks, it was bad. My other question would be, what about water? As it is, my water pressure in my house at certain times of day is almost nil. No, I do not have any leaks. But, so that would be a question. And where are these access roads? Blue Water, you said it in the paper, Blue Water Estates, Blue Water something. So where do those come in at? Are they just inside their development? Is there 2 roads? There's supposed to be an access road, 2 access roads going in and coming out. And right now they have an access road going in right across from my driveway. Or that was their proposed plan before. So them are my questions. Thank you.
Mr. Gilbert, yeah.
Mr. Chairman, the secondary access to the subdivision as a whole is going to be accomplished when the adjacent property develops. That's this R1 right here. And there are plans, there have been plans for a while for that to happen. We just don't know when that's going to come in. And that would connect into the street system north of Window Rock Road. At present, the total number of units accessing out to McCulloch from this subdivision, plus the larger lots in Horizon 6 in the county, of which the speaker was apparently has one of those lots, total significantly less than 200 total units off that single access for the time being. When this adjacent property gets developed, the roads will interconnect from this subdivision, that one, and then into the existing area to the west. And then there will be multiple ways in. The traffic study was submitted to the city and it looked at a number of, which a copy is in your packet, looked at a number of requirements for warrants, and the only issues that came up that triggered warrants under ADOT standards were left turn lanes in the subdivision. And again, those were very marginal. The study found that the total number of units using that access was not excessive per how traffic engineers rate functionality, and they'll grade A, B, C, D, E, F, like that. I'm sure the applicants can give you more information on how that works, but the traffic study did not find significant impact to Window Rock Road area from this development.
Would the applicant like to address the public's comment on the traffic study? Did anyone, you guys are involved with that? Yeah. Just for clarification?
Yes, what's your question?
Well, she's had a question about the traffic study. When was it done? How long was it done? Is that something you guys did?
It was done 4 months ago. It was when we submitted it. And so it's very recent. We actually did recent counts for this study. We've done several. We've been going through this project for nearly almost 8 years. So the study, like I said, we did it 4 months ago, and so all the traffic counts have been updated. So, and there is another access road. There's another access is Lakeside Drive is the one that. So there's basically only about 1,400 linear feet. That is just the one way. Then it hits the intersection of Lakeside and Window Rock right there. So people actually coming north on McCulloch will probably take Lakeside Drive. So there is another access just right now. So.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
Ma'am, please approach the podium and state your name for the record. Spell your last name, please.
My name is Mary Van Roy, Vanrooy. And my question is, I do live in Donkey Acres, but I'm Blue Canyon, so that's away from this area. But in the newspaper on the front page yesterday, they said 2 proposed access points are Blue Crystal Trail and Blue Water Run, which are located east of McCullough Boulevard. None of us can find those streets, so we're kind of curious as to what those 2 streets are, since it was on the front page of the newspaper.
Mr. Chairman, those are going to be the entryways into the subdivision, the
Once it's
streets
developed.
that are parts of the subdivision. Yeah.
Okay.
Blue Crystal Trail is the western one, and the other entrance is Blue Water Run.
Blue Water Run. Once it's developed, those will be the access points. Or anyone else from the public like to please state your name for the record and spell your last name, please?
My name is Nancy Clapp, CLAPP. I guess we're still kind of confused. So both access points to get in and out of this development will be from Window Rock alone. There is, right? I mean, they're not making another road to like Chickasaw or any other access beyond this, what is it, 80 acres or something?
They are not initially, Mr. Chairman, if I may, they're not initially doing that. The traffic study did not find traffic studies look at warrants. A warrant is something like a signal at a traffic intersection. If there's too much, could warrant a traffic signal, for example. The warrants that were triggered were marginal and only based on ADOT. ADOT would have required it, but under other traffic requirements, not even these left turn lanes would have been warranted. But our Public Works Department and our Planning Department do support going ahead and putting left turn lanes off Window Rock into the subdivision. There's not enough there to warrant a second access per the study. Now, when this property to the left or west of that develops, that will interconnect with the existing network of streets into the subdivision. So there will be other accesses.
What are those streets, if I could ask, when the other area gets developed?
Well, we don't know yet because that subdivision has not submitted yet. We don't know when that's going to be. But when they do, they will be required to connect. I can show you on the plat, this street right here, this stub will interconnect with this subdivision when it comes in, and then it will connect over here to, looks like Chickasaw Drive.
Okay.
Right here.
So I guess the concern is that is it 80 acres or something and 140 homes that initially I think it was only proposed for, I don't know, 90 or something, and now it's grown like everything grows to 140 homes. I mean, I also have property out in Donkey Acres, not on Window Rock, but it still concerns me getting in and out of that area, that there's only one access, 140 homes. How many cars is that? I know the traffic study, but when you just look at it realistically, 2 cars per home or whatever, that could potentially be a lot of traffic. And not only that, you guys are dumping, or not you guys, it's just terms, but we also have that apartment building going on right there at Delta and McCullough possibly. It just seems like a whole lot of traffic that is coming into like a 1 or 2 mile area. So, just my concern. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you. Anyone else from the public like to address the commission on this? State your name for the record. Spell your last name, please.
Mac Hall, Hall, with Iris Development Services. I'm the civil engineer for the project. We hired Southwest Traffic to do our traffic impact analysis. They took their analysis from the peak hour in the morning from 7 to 9 and then from 4 to 6 in the afternoon in March of 2023. So that's what all this analysis and information and the level of services of what Mr. Gilbert said A, B, and C were identified from. And then they are correct. You have 2 accesses into the subdivision off of Window Rock. And then when Campbell develops his piece, I think it will tie in, if I remember correctly from seeing this plan, it will tie in the Angelfish, which ties into Chickasaw for another route in and out of this area. And then speaking of the water system, this project has to develop its own. We have to extend the water system from the booster station down in the corner, run a transmission main up, and build an individual city-owned water tank and booster station as in the northeast corner to service this whole development. So there'll be no loss of pressure or any other water usage from the neighbors of Donkey Acres.
Okay. Thank you. Anyone else like to address the commission? Okay, seeing none, I'm going to bring it back to the staff for your recommendation, please.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chairman. Staff's recommendation is for approval of land use action ID number 234001 for a preliminary subdivision plat for Window Rock Estates, tract 2397 for 4017, 4021, 4025, and 4029 Window Rock Road, creating 147 lots and approximately 80 acres, single-family residential, R1, residential estates, RE, residential agriculture districts with the following conditions of approval. And there are 5, and I will read those in the record. Condition 1, detailed engineering drawings to be submitted and approved by the City Public Works Department prior to final plat approval, including all sanitary sewer, water line, fire line, drainage way, and roadway design plans. And that roadway design plan includes all the improvements on the north side of Window Rock Road as well. Number 2, no at-risk grading permit shall be issued until final drainage way plans are approved by the City Public Works Department. Number 3, left turn lanes to be installed on Window Rock Drive into the subdivision, including all public improvements on the north side of the road. Oh, and I just said that earlier. On the north side of the roadway, curb, gutter, sidewalk. This will require submitting documents to Mojave County for approval as well, and depending, of course, upon where the actual city limit line is, which we believe is the middle of the roadway, but we'll have to work that out. Number 4, lot 147 does not meet the minimum 10,000 square feet lot size standards and is recommended to be combined with the adjacent lot to the west if it cannot be resized. And that is, if you see my arrow on here, this specific lot right here. And looking at all these lot sizes in that block, we don't believe that that lot there's enough square footage to make that compliant. But they may be able to do it, but if not, it'll need to be combined into a larger lot. Mm-hmm. So this could drop to 146 lots. Number 5, the stub streets extending off Azure Terrace to the east, as shown as serving the large flag lots backing up to parcel G, and that is here, 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 and here, are to be removed and shown as true flag lots, each with an individual driveway access. These are not conforming with street stubs, and we would rather them, since they're essentially flag lots anyway, effectively, and be difficult to maintain due to their narrow width. Staff is requesting that they just become essentially driveway access up to the lots in the back. That's what that condition's about. And Mr. Chairman, that completes my staff recommendations.
Okay, thank you very much. Any questions from the commissioners to the staff?
Mr. Chair.
Mr. Chairman.
I just had a
Commissioner Zerl.
question, Mr. Gilbert, on from the city council. You said they had concerns on this project prior. What was the concern that they had?
I didn't say they had concerns. The applicant's been before the council to get the zoning established initially, and then came back to modify the size of, let me go back to the zoning
Okay,
map
so the
here.
zoning was approved and then it came
It's
back to
been,
the.
right,
Okay.
twice. The current RA area that you see here, that's what our current zoning is, was, had a much larger extent to it.
Oh, okay.
And that was changed to, there's an RE residential estate area now. And the R1 area is a little bit bigger, but the RA has been cut back. And that was mostly due to determinations made on the developability of parts of that area due to hillsides.
Okay, thank you.
And they went back to council, and council did amend the zoning map to allow for the current layout that you see to right here to come forward.
Thank you. Commissioner Harris?
Yes, I'd like to make a motion to approve ID 234001 with staff's recommendations.
We have a motion to approve by Commissioner Harris with a second by Commissioner Ballard. Any further discussion? All right, we're ready to vote.
Motion carries 7-0.
All right, good luck to you. Okay, that ends all of our agenda items for today. This is now a call to the public. It is an opportunity for the public to address the commission about a topic not on today's agenda. We are unable to respond directly or have a two-way conversation. If you would like to speak, please approach the podium and spell your name for the record. Anyone from the public like to comment during call to the public? Okay, seeing none, I'm going to close the call to the public and ask Mr. Gilbert for upcoming meeting report.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Chairman. November 1st meeting, we don't have access to this room, so it's canceled. There's an event going on, was it police related? Police training. So we will not be able to hold this meeting. November 15th will be the next regularly scheduled meeting. And I don't have anything yet to update you on what may be on that agenda. We'll probably know more later, and we'll keep you guys updated.
Thank you.
So you get another break.
Any comments from any commissioners? All right, seeing none, meeting's adjourned.